Good morning. I dreamed last night that I discovered I had been shot twice in the chest. There were 2 bullet holes, and I looked at them and I didn't see any blood coming out, or I didn't feel pain. So I thought, well, guess they didn't hurt me, but I decided in my dream that I'd better get away from that scene and stay away if I expected to stay alive. So I woke up, I thought, oh, 2 bullet holes. Oh. And I knew right away that it had reference to my memoir. And I think I took over the years, I think this is kind of a psychological bullet hole, that I've taken the equivalent of those over this issue, which involves the shadow man issue. And my father, I think the first one I took was when I first surfaced the fact that I'd been molested. And I was afraid to do it outside of protection, so I didn't do it until I got incarcerated in a psych ward. And then I just knew that I could never surface it all by myself, with my dad nearby, because he'd just be too threatening and it'd just be too dangerous. So I surfaced it there. And when I came home, but not before I almost died in there of, well, it's a long story, but it was
give this
to
a
do
shot
with
and see how we're doing this.
chronic fatigue bout
We're going to
that
see
I
if this
had
really
in there.
works, okay?
Because they were trying to give me electric shock, and I told them, don't give me electric shock, there's something wrong with me. Well, they didn't believe me. And
Well, how come he didn't bleed? That's what I want to know. I mean, seriously.
well,
In other words,
I
you
don't
have no
know.
blood in your system. You have nothing there. You're just a figment of your own imagination.
Oh, but
Is that
anyway, when I came home, my dad had been told that I'd surfaced this information that happened when I was 5 with somebody he brought around, a man.
His boyfriend.
And I was even suspicious of this, my dad and this man, what was going on. And I was that small, but they took me and involved me enough times that I got suspicious. And my dad never allowed me ever again to discuss this. If I got even close to even saying what went on, mention the psych ward, he would just scream and holler and carry on so bad that I just gave up. I couldn't discuss it. So it is,
Was he one of the bullet holes? All right, now which one's the other one? The other one's your mother or
Well,
You only
probably
had 2.
all the opposition that I received for writing this or deciding to discuss the shadow man problem
Yeah, but you made
connected
that
to
up.
it. Yeah, I did. I called these men who get
never heard
married
of that
and go
before.
ahead and still have, I call them the shadow men because
You call them shadow boys.
they are having affairs that
Cowboys,
most of the
shadow
women,
boys.
and my mother was one of them. She was a pretty enlightened woman, but she did not have it. She never suspected that, ever.
I have seen guys out there
And 35 years
in
of marriage,
Jackson Hole
and she
that are
did not.
60 years old and they're still called cowboys. They're not called cowmen.
Well, it's just something that didn't seem to occur to any women. They weren't educated, they weren't, and even if they would just not be so suppressed, and it was just kind of reflects how women are treated in this world,
In your world, all right?
my
Not from the
world,
world I came from.
with not complete honesty and for 35 years my mother just never occurred to her.
Does shadow remind you of cattle?
Fighting, she was a very, she wasn't afraid of anything, she would fight my dad, but she just didn't get that square in her head as the problem, one of the big problems in the marriage. And I would sit there and think, well, I could tell her, but I didn't dare tell her, it could have led to murder. So So, this dreams of bullet holes in the chest. Well, my dad threatened her with a gun for
Geez,
30
you act like
minutes.
that's a big deal or something. In your part of the country, they used to carry guns all the time. Ride horses.
No, they'd stop
spit on
carrying
each other.
6-shooters, but everybody had a
Sit
gun.
around the campfire
And if they were
park.
violent, well, that somebody might get threatened with a gun. And my mother got threatened with a gun. So, guns. And in fact, I heard my dad when I was 5 years old say he was going to go home and get his gun to shoot a cattle rustler.
Well,
So
now
I
that's
thought,
different.
oh.
You
And this is
steal
one
my
reason
cattle,
why-
I'll shoot you, right?
I
You molest
didn't
my daughter and
tell
just
for
don't
years
do it.
and years and years about this molester because I thought that my dad would immediately become a murderer because he would try to kill the guy.
Well, you think too much. You should have just let him go out there and do it.
No, I couldn't because it would have been on my conscience that
Wait a minute.
I thought, well,
Unless I'm
what he did
mistaken
to
here,
me.
I must be missing
And then my
something.
dad would have been a murderer. Then we'd
Yeah,
have
but
to contend with murder, and I thought that wouldn't be
You
good.
can't control it.
I'm a I've always been against violence, so that just didn't.
Yeah, that's right. And you'll slap the crap out of the
And
first person
when
that
I was
says different.
8, I tried to surface the story because he was going to see another family, the molester, and I thought, oh, he's putting them in danger, and
His name wasn't Chester,
I
was
haven't
it?
told, and so
Chester the
I tried to
molester?
surface it, but I said that he'd already molested the other girl. I didn't say it was. Well, whoever got hold of this story, the molester ended up getting shot, but they said that he only got shot in the leg. And
But
then-
not in the chest or anything?
no,
like
not
that?
in the chest. No, nobody really got killed, And my mother didn't
Well, you
get
got
killed. I
killed.
didn't get killed. Well, I don't
They
know.
killed
but-
your creative spark, your creative ability.
No, it
Yes.
didn't kill it, but
Well, they
it.
just shot you 2 times last night.
Well, it does pretty much,
It's a good
You
thing
have
you
a-
didn't have your back turned to them because you know where them bullet holes would have been.
but I do
right?
think that it's not safe for someone
can't sit
trying
down. I
to
can't sit
surface
down.
this problem even now to go up there and mingle with the people because it's there's.
Why would you want to mingle with
Well,
somebody
I
that wants to shoot
don't.
you?
I just got to stay away. But now my son, he works up there. It's a beautiful country. It's very, very
It's
beautiful.
got nothing
And
to do with that. You want to go to Miami? It's got one of the
no,
highest
but anyway, he was
killing
the
rates in the
victim
country.
of a
It's a nice
crime
place if you like to get shot.
during his childhood and teens too. But they had nothing to do with the shadow men issue, and so he's safe up there. You see, it's like if you have, I leveled in on that problem. I write about it, and in reference to my dad and the marriage, because I had to go through a lot of hell being the child of these battling couple. Never got along, but couldn't seem to separate. And
Gee, I wonder why.
well, there was money involved, property. They were
Oh,
fighting
yeah.
over the property
Guess
all
what?
the time, and my mother had 5 children. She felt she was entitled, and oh dear, it was just endless. But
Well,
right
if you
up until
produce
my dad
one
died, he
boy-
wouldn't allow me to discuss what had happened to me as a child or talk to him about any. And then there was another man that harassed me and to do with connected to my dad too. So
Okay.
it was just
it's not me, is it?
trying
Anything
to
like that?
write about this. So I looked at these bullet holes, I woke up in the night. I thought I woke up. I was really dreamy. Looked at them and I thought, well, must not have hit anything vital, but I better not get shot again.
Yeah, but
Or it might hit something vital.
But
like
you
my
weren't bleeding. Now that bothers me. That seriously bothers me. Anybody that
Well,
gets shot,
I
they
just
don't
saw. Well,
bleed.
this was over years. One of them looked like it healed up. It was scarred,
Oh,
and
now we're getting down to the.
yeah, I'd been shot. I think this was a dream. Saying over the years, you probably took the equivalent of two bullet holes to the chest. So you better keep in mind there's danger here, and just stay away. So I'm staying away miles and hundreds of miles and typing away on my memoir. And the thing of it is when I do get this memoir out there, maybe published, It probably won't cause much of a stir because it won't be realized that, it is a dangerous issue for some people.
Well, I told you what's going to happen.
And so...
Everybody up there is going to buy
know.
everything you print, and then they're going to make a big bonfire and burn it.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, they do a little Nazi thing. They burn the books we don't like. We buy them up, and then we burn them.
So this kind of explains why, when I'm trying to write on this memoir, it's just almost like pushing a great big boulder up the hill. I just wonder if my strength
I've heard that story before.
is
right, yes.
up to it.
Why
pushing this.
do you do that?
Oh, why do I do this?
No.
Trying to finish it up now, polish it. But I talked to my sister in San Francisco last night, Linda, who's also writing a memoir that it's very difficult. It was all about her nervous breakdown. And that's not fun stuff to write about.
How come I don't have a nervous breakdown?
Well, you apparently didn't have all the conditions that were... This was a result,
why do I drink so much? That's what I want to know.
She ended up in a psych ward
Explain that one to me.
because of all the stress involved.
I never had stress as a kid.
When she was growing up with my mother and dad, fighting all the time, and alcoholism involved. But anyway, she said, this polishing and getting this memoir in shape is just killing me. I can't. It's a lot of
why would you want to do something that's killing you? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, because you
me.
want to get it out there. She needs to get that breakdown out there because it was one heck of a doozy of a breakdown.
A doozy?
It was interesting too, and she needs to get that out there.
Is that short for Duesenberg or what is that?
No. But,
well, I don't know the term.
So I encouraged her to keep on and continue to write it because that's why I think people need to write. If they've had some difficulty in their life, then that's all the more reason to write about it. Where they felt there was a big problem that wasn't being handled in the era that they grew up in. Like, I'm fighting for women to have more honesty and rights. It was like the men were taking it. It was mostly the men who were taking advantage of the women to do these things. And there were some women.
When was the last time I took advantage of you?
I thought who were involved.
Was that the time you kicked me out of your apartment? I was trying to take advantage of you.
Well, with him now, I didn't get any problem like that. He's kind of seemed to have a childhood free of those kind of concerns. His parents didn't drink and fight. He said he never even heard him have an argument, hardly. That's hard to believe that people could be so civilized.
I did not even know about bisexuality until I met you. I didn't know what these people were doing. I don't go
what about
around
you? You
looking
said
at
your first wife was probably.
That's entirely different.
He married one.
That's when I woke up and I go, oh boy.
Yeah, I think if he hadn't had that experience, he would not understand me at all. He wouldn't even be able to take me. But he'd had a marriage. He can barely take me now. But he had a marriage with a woman that had possibly concealed her activities.
Oh no, she told me before we got married that she, but in a passing sort of a way with the other cheerleader and they got together. It's just sort of normal, girls.
Oh, he thought it was normal, but I can tell him right now, it is not normal. Well, she had gotten, it sounds like she had gotten
preacher's
into
kids.
Preacher's kids, they'd gotten into some lesbian activities. Well, if this has become a need or something very too enjoyable to this person, that's going to be a problem after they get married, and it turned out to be one for him.
Yeah, but I would appreciate if you told me before you get married,
Yeah, she didn't really.
On the wedding night,
really,
I have a headache.
Yeah, that's the kind of reaction he got to any thought or prospect of normal, sexual relationship. This girl was not up to it. And that is a big problem. That meant that there had to be a divorce, even when the kids were little. It was just, so he really had a very serious problem with this. Only it happened to be with his new young wife, who'd apparently got into some activities while still in high school and college.
She never went to college.
Oh, she didn't go to college? She was that younger than you? Quite a bit.
No, she went to secretarial school.
Oh.
Oh, by the way, how did this
Good
end
Lord,
up?
she could have gotten into all kinds of activities before you ever married her and concealed them from
She
you.
got him and I was married to her. What are you talking about?
And she went on.
Wait a
with
minute.
them.
This is not about me. This is supposed to be about.
Well, but
two
it's
bullet holes
amazing.
You want another bullet hole in
Well,
your
you
chest?
always said that your first wife, the marriage, had just broke your heart, stomped your heart to pieces, and it never even recovered.
No, there's a song about that.
So you see, an experience with someone like that can be devastating. I mean, he says that's why he drinks to this day.
That's right. As we say, W.C. Fields, my first wife told me to drink and always be eternally grateful for that, honey.
Oh yeah, well, he likes to talk like that, but I sure
I didn't
felt,
sound like W.C. Fields.
I thought that was the first huge, terrible thing that happened to him. This marriage was doomed from the start because of what she had gotten into and concealed from him. And of course, my dad's marriage to my mother was doomed from the start because of what he'd been into as a 26-year-old bachelor marrying a little 18-year-old naive woman. She was unhappy from the start with how he was
Kind of gives
acting.
you a clue right there, doesn't it?
And my dad would pick up men, young guys all up down the state and party and never quit after he got married. So, see, you said your heart got stomped and never recovered.
But never got shot. I didn't wake up with bullet holes in my chest. No,
Well, this
sir.
is equivalent.
Besides that, if I would have, I'm sure there'd been a bunch of blood. I'd be like, ambulance, 911, please.
Well, I had to divorce. I kicked my second husband, the father of my kids, right out of my life because I thought he was a shadow man and never would be faithful.
Oh, he was a
And
cowboy driving a truck.
I couldn't trust him.
Cowboy
which I
driving
told
a truck.
him.
What's the difference?
And it was just, I found sometimes a bisexual can be very attractive. You can fall for him, but you always know that there's going to be trouble down the line because this guy is more apt to be unfaithful than, because he might go both ways. In fact, many bisexuals are more active
Well, that's what Woody
because they're
Allen
trying
said.
to prove, that they are normal. They have normal, and
Well, Woody said, increases your date, it doubles your date for chance on Saturday night. It doubles your chances.
so this really is a very loaded issue as it affected him as it affected me.
Not
only
yet,
with
but
my
I'm working
dad,
on it.
but with my marriages and certain relationships with, I would have to give them up because of this problem. But I was forewarned, I'd always look for it. I didn't have to be hit over the head to notice it. I would sometimes go into it with my eyes wide open, but I would warn the guy that if I ever caught him going either way, he was out the door because I couldn't take infidelity of any
You can't
kind.
take infidelity.
Because I saw this happen in my dad and mother's marriage because my mother started
What if you meet a guy that's in the bestiality?
stepping out with him kind of in a defense.
The guy's into bestiality. He brings home a sheep, right?
Yeah. You keep your eye. You spot this
Oh,
possibility.
boy. Remember that time I
And-
brought that Shetland pony to your house and
Yeah.
you wouldn't believe it?
Oh yes. Well, anyway, if my mother started stepping out on him in revenge, and he couldn't seem to,
I don't consider that to be revenge.
she began to. So there you have two parents.
That's great. She's 8
acting
years
this
younger.
way.
She's,
Oh, and
she's
for the
still
kids.
a teenager.
And then, of course, this was a very bad influence on the girls, and some of them were bound. You know, we were all tempted, but it was a terrible temptation to behave just like they were in some form or another. And you know, it's just a huge problem. So I think the more people write about it, the better.
See, I tell you, every time we talk about this,
More for
this place is wired. Somebody's calling on the phones. You can't talk about
but
that.
but it is
Well,
very
at
difficult.
least they didn't turn the
and
electricity
dangerous.
off. Didn't turn the electricity off, right?
Psychologically.
If the lights go off right now, we're in trouble.
So I'm recovering from the 2 bullet holes in my
I
chest.
don't want to.
I'm going to stay away from the.
Let me see it. Let me see that we're.
Going to the direct battlefield. We're going to be far from the battlefield, hopefully.
From now on,
Okay.
the pen is not mightier than the sword. We're going for the sword.
But I thought I should report when I, dreamed about being shot.
Oh, I thought you actually were shot.
I kind of feel like I've been shot.
I know I'm shot right now.
Yeah, he's shot. We're
Okay.
two.